Okay, so hmm. Not sure. Really not sure. Now, I believe you could pass it a reference, or it would do equality. There's something to get a begin iterator, an iterator that begins at a certain element. Am I wrong? I guess I'm wrong, because it's not. There's nothing like that on here. So there's no ways to create a vector from a vector just based on the. Yeah, that's not so surprising. Alright. Not a big deal. In some ways it makes things easier because we just stick to our guns, our main guns. And that is just iterating the shit out of the vector. So when we get the onset right here, besides doing all this fancy junk, yeah, this is where we start the input. We can also keep track of, so this will be a state variable. This could also just be a static variable in here, but there's no difference. And that will be input manager.h. Yeah. Okay, so there will have to be an input manager. Sorry, input buffer. And this will be last onset. Oh, what was that? How did I delete 5 lines at once? And got to add the M. I'm going to clean things up. Okay. Alright. No, I like putting the stars on the type. I don't know about you. I know a lot of people like putting it on the variable. I never got that. Because the type is really a pointer to the input buffer. I don't see a reason to separate it. Enough ranting. So right here is where we want to take the last buffer. Alright. So the buffer that triggered is M input buffers I. That's the vector we want. That's the vector element we want. M input buffers I. That's M last onset buffer. Alright, so here, now we got a start point. We're not doing anything fancy yet. We're not worrying about the noise that leads up to it. So, there's so many for loops. Okay, we can recycle J. Yeah. And I'm going to rewrite that for loop because I don't want to copy and paste one that uses I. For j equals 0, j less than m input buffers buffer dot size j plus plus. Okay. Let's see, is it 0 to... Yeah, it is in order, okay. I'm just making sure it's not reverse. So then we want to take these guys and this will be an if statement. There's two steps to this. I'm gonna also use a bool, and found start found equals 0. So first we have to find the first element again because this happens in a different call. Input buffers j, and we don't need size actually. Pretty sure we can just use I. A buffer can't onset and offset in the same. We could actually use I minus 3 or something, but who cares? So j is less than I. And we just check to see that jth buffer, so the ones that start 0 started earlier than I. J always starts before I. So we just want to see if it is the onset buffer. And if it is, well great, we set the state start found to 0. And if start found, then why don't we just, whoa. Hit buffers. I feel uncomfortable just calling it buffers. Push back. Yeah. Hit buffers. Okay. Yeah, so we construct the vector as such. We could also just pass a pointer to the original vector with some indices. That might be more standard. Not standard, but clean. Is that true? Not a big deal. This way is also completely fine. Yes, there's allocation on the stack for a vector, but whatever. It's not such a big deal. I think we want less than or equal to I, because we also want to add the I buffer. Yeah. Alright. So, going back to mic entity, we have this add buffers call. which does take a pointer to a vector. Oh, this is weird. Standard vector input buffer star in buffs. How's that? I think that's fine. We're going to have to add vector.h. Yes. And struct input buffer. Next thing we need to do is get mic entity.mm. And finally define this function, add buffers. I think we started? No, we did not start. Alright, here's a good place to do that. And by good place, I just mean anywhere in the file. Okay, so we have a point where we have a list, a vector of input buffers that we want to send to our voice entity so that it can create a, well, no, that's all we need right now, because the sound doesn't need to be clear at this point. So, when we add these buffers, there should be a last shot entity that's valid, because this happens in between the onset and the offset. So it should be something like this. We do check it just in case, but add buffers. That's all. And this exact same call can be duplicated in voiceentity.h, like such. Okay. So put it right at the end. Now, you know what? I enjoy having the drawing code at the end. Yeah. Put it right here. So this is the part that's actually going to need to save those buffers. And luckily, copying a buffer to a buffer is simple. I think you might even be able to use the equal sign. I'm curious. I think it's good to indulge your curiosities once in a while you're programming, because they always come up. And they are fun. If you lose the love for a language, that could be really hard. So anyway, standard vector assignment. What happens? Oh, they have an assign method. I didn't know that. Assigns new content to the vector object. Ah, this is what I was... This would have been perfect. Two input iterators. This probably would have been good. So here's 3 vectors. This is a weird thing.